Terry, there's something new on the set here. What's up with that? Welcome to Crawford County Outdoors, by the way. I'm Dwayne Kohler, and we are here at the official residence of Crawford County Outdoors, the Beck household.
That's right, yes.
Terry and Gavin, thanks for having us here. So what's new on the wall there, Terry?
Yeah, we have last year's mount. Just received that a couple weeks ago.
So today's episode is the viewer video, and we had pictures of that from last year, and so that takes a while to get that guy back.
Took about 11 months, yes.
Let's go over the story one more time. Tell us the story about that one.
Last year's buck, that was the one out of my lucky tree stand. Again, it came 30 yards in front of me and made a good shot, and it's on the wall.
There he goes. How about that? Well, now Chef Lisa's over there working away, so that must mean there's some new deer coming this year, huh?
That's right. We had a really good season. We have 3 bucks in the family. All the Beck men.
So a buck
harvested bucks this year.
Trifecta at the Beck
That's right.
Here.
Yes, it was a great year.
Well, I want to hear about Gavin. I want to hear about your buck here for your first time out. Tell us about it.
It was an 8-point.
Yeah.
We sat in the tree stand all morning, and we only saw 2 doe, but they were too far for me to shoot. And so we went to push a little piece in the woods, and we went, because there's nothing to lean on, so we just let up, we just fell right against a tree. And a couple yards in, maybe 30 or 40 yards in, landed, and my Uncle Mike were pushing. And my dad saw a buck coming in. That little buck was just creeping up on us.
It was sneaking, man. It was crawling.
Let me stop you right there. So to get you excited when you first saw that buck,
Yeah.
did you feel like your heart was like right up in your chest, up in your throat almost? Because I think everybody out there that goes hunting knows that feeling, right?
I was shaking, and the gun was like weighing down, and I had to try to hold it up.
We call that buck fever, right, Dwayne?
So buck fever, how about that? So your first one, you had a little buck. Well, keep going with the story.
He told me that I was gonna, once it turns broadside and gets past that tree right there, that I would shoot it. And it came, and I was shaking, and I pulled the trigger, and I shot it, and you could tell I hit it because it jumped up in the air. So, and it started running, and it was in thick brush, and we couldn't really see it. And so I was scoping, and my dad told me if I could see it or not, and I couldn't see it, so he scoped it, and he could finally see it. It was still standing, then it fell down, tried to get up a couple more times, but it couldn't, it just fell back down. So we went over there, and eventually it died. And
so what was that feeling like when you got your hands on that buck for the first time?
it felt good.
Dad, what was it like for you?
I was shaking just like he was. I was behind him holding the gun, trying to find it in the weeds, and I feel him shaking. The next thing you know, I'm like, damn, I'm shaking.
So Gavin, this wasn't your first time out in the woods. You've had lots of practice with that kind of. Tell us about the difference whenever you got to go. I bet you had a lot of excitement over the years building up for that day.
Every time we went out into the tree stand, I went for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And my first year, I wasn't allowed to shoot anything because I was too young, so I was just
You're spectating.
Learning.
That's right.
Yeah, training.
We didn't see anything my first year, and my second year, this year I was allowed to shoot, and we saw 2 doe the first day. I could have been out of there at 6:50.
But you can't shoot them the first week, right?
Yeah. I think I saw maybe 16 doe before I saw a buck. So I know the story. Yeah.
So we walked up on Gavin's deer laying there, and we could not find a hole, an entrance or an exit hole.
Wow.
I'm thinking, this thing get hit by a car and come down, and you just gave it a heart attack when you shot. So we got it skinned out, and he hit low in the belly, hit the very last rib.
Wow.
Ricocheted up into the liver, and it never exited. I mean, there was a little 243 in a little hole like that. So he barely hit it, but he got it.
So when you got home, I bet everybody was pretty happy to hear the story and happy to get that deer getting it processed and get cooking. And your mother's really working away, so I'm kind of anxious to taste what she's working on there. But you're feeding the family now, huh?
Yep.
Attaboy. Well, let me ask your dad a question, because you got one this year, Terry.
I did.
Archery season.
I got one archery season out of the same tree stand I I
So
hover to this
that
one.
is the
It's
lucky
my
tree
lucky
stand
tree
then.
stand.
You think the deer would talk about that? It's like, hey,
They would
don't
know.
go over there, but they haven't figured that out yet.
I never take it down, so they're used to it.
Okay.
I didn't hunt very much. I took a little trip to Florida, and then I came back. It was the last Tuesday of the season. I was seeing some doe early in the morning, and you know how you're looking around and you just starting to get bored. I look back, and here you come, right up the trail. And I shot him at 10 yards, and he went another 40 and just dropped.
How about that?
Yeah, here's a nice 8-point, 15-inch spread inside or outside.
So archery season versus rifle season. The archery season. Now, let me ask you. I mean, it seems like the deer are been moving around more, kind of on their own. It's more their mating time.
I think so. Well, this year was a late rut, so I know there's a lot of archery hunters out there that were disgusted because there wasn't a lot of deer moving. Personally, I love archery season. I could care less if I ever carry a rifle again. I just, I wanted to shoot a deer because I knew both boys were going to have guns this year, so I needed to be there for them.
So you want to get that freezer filled up.
Oh yeah, it's full.
And now you got the wall getting filled up here.
That's
pretty
right.
good,
I
so
have
that's
look.
awesome.
I have lots of space.
There's more room, huh?
We have a nice pheasant coming. So it's almost done from last year's hunt.
Okay. Well, that you bring me to a topic I wanted to ask Gavin about. So Gavin, you got to be the cameraman on a pheasant hunt this year. Tell us about that.
It was pretty fun, but it was kind of boring for me a little bit because I couldn't really shoot.
Because you didn't get to shoot. Okay.
That's right. With a mentor license, you can't carry a gun. You have to be stationary, and that's
So
what.
it doesn't work for pheasant. It works for
That's
deer.
right. It
But it
does.
doesn't work for pheasant.
Right.
So you got to carry a camera though. Mm-hmm. So your brother was out there with some of his friends,
Yep.
and Lulu was working. She was here a minute ago.
Yeah, she's walking around.
She's still working. She's still working. So we'll take a look at some of that too. But that was a fun day. So
Yeah.
So the guys were out there on Youth Day, and I want to ask Landon about that after a bit. But, getting that pheasant, bringing that home, that's got to be fun too. Well, congratulations, Gavin, for your first buck. I'm proud of you, man. That was great. Terry, good job. Nice
right.
deer on the wall there.
Thank you.
And yeah, I can't wait to see what Chef Lisa is working on, because I bet that
I
maybe
can smell it.
that maybe that's going to be pretty good here. So we'll stick with us.
Nice. Dead bird, fetch! Dead bird, fetch!
So Landon Beck with us here on Crawford County Outdoors. You're a multiple time visitor here, and this is getting to be old hat talking to you about a deer harvest. Tell us about yours.
Well, just another year hunting, you know. It's kind of hard when you got school and stuff. Kind of take days off because you don't get on the first day on Monday when you don't have school. It's kind of hard. So I decided to take Thursday off and see if I can get anything so I can just finish up and not have to worry about trying to get another deer. So we go out to our buddy John Thayer's. He's got some property out where we
In
like to
Linesville.
hunt sometimes. And I'm standing with my uncle, Paul, just waiting for him and my other uncles to do a little push, see if something runs out. And they were just about to start, and I hear something behind me, so I turn, and what do you know, here comes a buck. I don't know where. It wasn't even because of them.
Opposite of the
It was
drive.
we call them volunteers, don't we?
Okay,
Dwayne?
volunteer. There we go. Yeah.
So I tell my uncle, there's a deer. He says, all right, get your scope on him, and I'll let you shoot him. So it was a little half rack. Wasn't nothing too spectacular, but still a deer. Comes around, stands 30 yards.
Those ones taste the best too, by the way. I think those. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Stands about 30 yards broadside. I shoot, drop him right there.
Right in his tracks, huh? So the dropping in his tracks, there really is something to that. How about that?
Yep.
So your dad and I were out pheasant hunting one day, and we got a couple pheasants that day, and he was getting texts from you that you had a deer right behind you, and you couldn't get the right angle going to get a shot after archery season. Tell us about that one.
Oh, well, it was real early in the morning. I was just sitting behind the house back here. And early I had a little 4-point walking around with a little doe real early, and then it kind of meandered off, and then a couple minutes later that same doe came with a bigger buck, and they kind of just messed around a little bit, a couple yards away, a couple feet away from me. So they run away, and it's about 10 minutes later. I'm like, I'm gonna grunt and see what happens. So So I grunt 3 times, and those 2 bucks start running my way.
How about that?
So one was definite 4-point, I know that for a fact, but the other one was a real bigger deer. They come about 40 yards from me, and they're both starting to walk towards me. I let the 4-point go by, and the 8-point's coming right at me. So I grab my bow, I'm waiting for him to give me the shot. He's about 10 yards from me. I pull my bow back, and he's looking right at me, and he's parallel with me. So I'm waiting for him to move so I can get a shot, and I'm here shaking. Waiting for him to move. He starts to move like he's going to run away. I shoot, and I shoot right under him.
Oh. Well, that's all right.
We've all done that.
Everybody's done that. That's part of the game.
Well, I think he drew a little too soon because the buck was facing him, looking right at him, and then he turned and.
How about that? Well, good for you that you got one. In the next part of the season there. So let me ask you. I asked your brother about the youth hunt for pheasant youth day back in. I guess that's in October. I guess when that was. Several of your friends came out, and Lulu and Crash were there together working, and we were having a lot of fun with that. And we flushed several birds, but a couple came home. So tell us about that.
I've only been pheasant hunting a couple times, but got to go with a couple of my buddies later in the day. It was a real nice day out.
It was really hot.
It's like I kind of like going when it's like maybe 40 or something like that.
And
The
dogs didn't like that.
60 plus. I think that day was really warm. Yeah.
We saw a good amount of birds that day, but not a lot came our way. We saw signs of them. The dogs gave us signs that there were birds in the area, but I really didn't get one. But Lou found one that was dead. But my buddy got one, and I think that was his. I
think John shot one, didn't he?
Crash made a good retrieve on one, I remember.
Yeah.
I think we got some close-ups
We
of
killed
that one.
a couple, two or three that day.
So you like pheasant hunting? You might do some of that down the road?
Pheasant hunting's pretty fun.
Yeah, I like that too, because it's like deer hunting. You get all season long, and you maybe get a shot or two if you're lucky. And pheasant, heck, you can maybe get a shot or two every day. If not more than that. So, well, I gotta ask you about one other topic here. You're on the Meadville football team, and that's kind of a record-setting year for that. Congratulations, first. How about that? District 10 champs and your first year on the team. And tell us about it. Just tell us a little bit about it.
Well, overall, it was a fantastic season. I mean, our team played really well. We made it through some tough times going 0-2 in the beginning of the season, but we gained ground and definitely came back on a stronger season.
I'm not sure anybody heard about this, but you ended up with a broken thumb, which kind of slowed you down at the beginning part of the season. How that worked out okay? And I saw you back in there at the end, making your impact out there.
Yeah, I broke that our 3rd game of the season up in DuBois. So I was out for I think 2 games, and I played with a cast on my hand. So
how was that?
It wasn't too bad. I mean, I had protection about up to here down. I had to play left-handed quarterback. So.
Well, I know the guys did a tremendous job this year. I didn't get to the first couple games, but then each game seemed like more people were coming up. And by the end of those playoffs, it had to be thousands of people that were coming out to those games. That was really impressive to see. And a lot of excitement around town about that. So
it was fun.
That's got to be fun to be part of something like that gets that much community interest. And,
definitely.
And all your friends and family and everybody coming out. So, well, congratulations for that.
Thank you.
Okay, we got some more topics. Stay with us. Joining us now, Kayla Waltman and Emily Cronizer. Am I saying that right? Okay. Yeah. Now you guys are roommates at Allegheny.
Yes.
So you're acquainted already, right?
Yes.
So
know each other a little bit.
I'd say so.
So the mud run this year. So we put a camera on Emily.
Yes.
So tell the story. Have you done that kind of thing before?
No, I've never done a mud run. I did the color run, but that wasn't quite as extreme. So people just throw coloring.
So this time you had mud thrown at you, but it actually wasn't be thrown by anybody. It was just all over the place there, right? So
it was pretty fun.
So now we had quite a little project to get you hooked up with the camera, right?
Yeah.
And we had your camera looking backwards because we figured you're the fastest, so you'd be in front of everybody. So
yeah, that was it was like loose on my back. We tied jumper cord or something.
I think it was a dog harness that we got to put we put a camera on the dog. So we had you all strapped up with the camera.
It was pretty fun. It was okay except for in the very beginning there's like ropes that you have to crawl under, and it ended up getting caught, so that slowed me down a little bit, but once I got through it was no big deal.
So, and also I noticed when I was watching it after, is it didn't take too long for like the mud to get on. So like every once in a while you'd see a picture and then you'd see mud and then you'd see a picture and then you'd see mud.
It was pretty messy.
Talk about the event though. There was a bunch of obstacles in the event there.
Yeah, most of them were okay. The monkey bars were really difficult because your hands were just like covered in mud, so I ended up slipping a whole bunch of times. And you had to like crawl under stuff, and like I think the worst was there was like a beam across the pond. It was like full with water, and I wiped out at that point, like totally wiped out. So that was pretty bad.
I think that was one of the only ones I successfully completed without wiping out in the mud.
So Kayla, we took along the rubber chicken.
Yes.
If you recall from the Wild Games, the prize for the Wild Games for the winning team was the official rubber chicken. And so we wanted to get folks to take the chicken and get into some interesting things. So the chicken walked with me in the beginning of the race and ran along, and of course it got lost in the mud a couple times. In fact, it almost had to get resuscitation at the end, if you recall.
I do recall.
Yeah.
Poor chicken.
So later that day, well, we'll get to that in a minute. My camera, I was wearing on my head, and I also got caught in the same ropes as you, and somehow that turned it off. And it never came on until right at the very end, going down the slide with all the spray and everything. So you can see the chicken going down the slide and making it across the finish line before me. So the chicken actually was a finisher. Didn't really run the mud run very well.
You were doing the run for him.
Yeah. But then we did have chicken spa day after.
Yes.
So you'll be able to see some interesting spa scrubbing of the chicken and suds and all that kind of stuff. So the dogs enjoyed that. They thought they were getting some food out of that, but it didn't work out that way. Talk about your experience in the mud run.
Well, I thought it was a lot of fun. It was my first time doing something like that all together. It was actually my first ever 5K. So that was really cool. It was a new experience. It was really fun because I was able to actually go through the obstacles and not just focus on running the whole way through, which I thought was a really good experience. I've never been that muddy before in my life. I have to admit, I've never really played around out in the mud, so that was cool.
Was it fun? I mean,
it was a new perspective, I guess.
I didn't do it like a little demographic actual survey, but it seemed like there was more gals there than there were guys there. I don't know, maybe girls like getting in the mud more than guys do.
Well, we never really get the chance. Guys get to go out and play football when they're younger and get all muddy, and girls never really get to just get too muddy unless they find somewhere to play football. So it's really cool. It's a new thing.
Well, separately from that, you and I did a 5K, the Steelers 5K. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And we got to meet some of the players. Actually, I shook hands with, what's his name? Anyways, we met some of the players and the pictures of you and I coming across the finish line. So that was kind of fun. I really enjoyed that. So
you got me hooked on 5Ks.
Okay. We'll have to come up with some more now.
Yes.
I'm sure there's going to be some wintertime, that there's one in St. Patrick's Day, there's one. And So Emily, you're a big fitness buff. Talk about that for a sec. Give us some tips on what do you do to stay in shape?
Well, I definitely do more lifting than cardio. I try and avoid the cardio as much as I can. I just enjoy lifting more. I think it's more fun as opposed to just like doing the same thing over and over while you're running. I think the worst thing about running is getting bored probably. But when you're lifting, you get like time to do different movements, and I do like different muscle groups every day, so I change it up all the time. And that's the best thing, is to find the thing that you really enjoy, and then you'll be more motivated to do it.
So I know before the run, we all practiced once with a trail run because we knew it was coming up, so we went down in the trail in Greendale Cemetery. And I have to tell a story. So Kayla, you and I, and John, we were tracking along, and we got to the top of the hill, and we were all kind of huffing and puffing because it's a pretty steep hill coming up. And Emily's like, that was fun. And I said, why don't you go do it again? Can I? Yeah. So she did. She went back down the hill and came up again, and by the time we got back out to the open field, you caught up with us. So yeah, you like the hard part, right?
I do. I really like it. I think there's no better feeling when you get done with something really, really hard, and you're like, yes, I did it. I got through it.
So was that hard, that hill?
I thought that hill, it was pretty steep. That was a really high incline.
There was another part of that run where, in fact, our Crawford County Outdoors, we did a series and we hiked that little trail, and we came to one point in the trail where it's like not much of a trail anymore. So we had to hang on to each other to get through there without falling down the hill.
Yeah.
But well, thank you for sharing your story with that. So Kayla, you and I want to talk about some paddling things that went on this year. So we'll talk about that in a minute. So stay tuned for that. John Kolak joining us now. John, welcome back. You've been with us on Medicine Evil. That's the other project I work on, Crawford County Outdoors. You've been with us on that a number of times before. So, okay, I'm sitting here with now 2 award-winning kayakers. So how about that? You guys both medal winners in the first ever paddle fest at Conneaut Lake. So tell us about it, John.
Who's having it? The
Historical Society.
The Historical Society. They're in Conneaut Lake. It started at Fireman's Beach.
Yeah.
Went around the little island. I forget what they call it.
Through the Heidi Cooper Bay and then through the other bay. And you remember the banjo player at the island?
Yeah,
there
that was funny.
Playing like in the Deliverance movie. So it made you not want to slow down too much around the island there. So. Now, you guys had both borrowed kayaks from family members.
My granddad hooked us up with kayaks, and really the reason why we won is they were like the longest kayaks there. They were like the longest ones before like actual race kayaks.
It's definitely our skill. You can't just give it to the
I mean,
kayaks.
we paddled hard, but we had good kayaks, so that helped.
Well, that was a blast. I really got a kick out of the paddle fest, and I'm looking forward to doing that again next year.
How many people were there?
I think there were 60.
Yeah, it was a good turnout.
Yeah, it was a good turnout, and it was fun and threatening weather and all that kind of stuff. But it all worked out. It all worked out well, and I'm looking forward to do that again. And Kayla, you and I had some other kayaking adventures this year.
We did. We've had quite a few actually.
We tried. Had family and friends all together at Canada Lake, and everyone was going to go for a ride, and there wasn't enough seats on the pontoon boat, so you and your sister jumped into the kayaks, and you were paddling along. And the boat died. So pick it up from there.
So, my sister and I were out kayaking. We were just enjoying the day out for a paddle. And all of a sudden, we see everyone out on the pontoon boat. And we're like, oh, they decided to take the boat out for a nice ride. So we're paddling by, and they're stopped. We're like, why are you sitting there motionless? So we come over, and they're like, yeah, the boat died. We're like, oh, what are we supposed to do about this? And jokingly, I was like, we could just pull them back. It'll be all right. And then they were like, you know what? That's actually not a bad idea. So, of course, I threw out the great idea there and got myself in for one. But we went back, got another kayak. So I was in one, and then my sister and you actually ended up in the other one.
I jumped in the two-person
You got
kayak.
out of the boat and into the kayak. And then we tied up the kayaks to the front of the pontoon boat with some ropes, and we paddled as hard as we could. Somehow managed to get it back out in front of the cabin.
And I found out later, by the way, that some of the people on the pontoon boat, others came by, hey, can we help you? And no, this is way too much fun. So
well, figures.
You can't mess up. You can't mess up a good video whenever you have good funny video going. So
that's true.
We paddled away, and we were having quite the workout there. So we had been through the paddle fest at that point.
Right.
So everybody was pretty well, we were all tuned up for paddling. So yeah, we got to drag a 21 foot long pontoon boat halfway down the lake.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, so it is fixed by now. By the way, the boat's fixed.
That's good to hear.
Was that the one day, and then we did it?
So then later on, John, you were in fact, were you there too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we paddled the pontoon boat back to the launch to get it on the trailer to get it to the repair shop.
Right.
So yeah, I don't think we have any video of that, but that wasn't nearly as much fun as dragging it with the kayaks.
We were prepared for that one. We knew it was coming ahead of time.
Didn't we try with the kayaks?
Yeah, and that didn't work very well. It worked better with everybody having a paddle on the pontoon boat and paddling along. Yeah.
Right.
So, but we certainly got a lot of attention that day.
We did. I think we're probably the most experienced kayakers for a pontoon boat in Crawford County.
Well, I have a kayaking story too, and I've shared this one with you. But my wife Michelle and I, we celebrated our 30th anniversary this year, and we went to the Dominican Republic, and had a wonderful time. And of course, the resort has kayaks you can borrow in it. And offshore, about a mile out, I didn't realize this until I started paddling, but about a mile there's a shipwreck. It sticks up out of the water.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to paddle out there and get some pictures of that. So I put my little waterproof camera on my life jacket, and got launched out there, and I'm paddling away, and you get out, and it's like, oh, there's a reef up. How about that? That's pretty cool. So I got out there, and I was getting some pictures of the old rusty old shipwreck, and the darn thing is huge. I mean, I swear it's 100 yards long. From the front part sticks up, and the back part sticks up, and then when you go, you can see it. I didn't want to get too close because you never know with the waves and everything.
Right.
So coming back, it's like, I wonder if I can, get some pictures of this reef. So I stopped paddling and took the camera off my life jacket, and I held it under the water because there was fish swimming around or whatever, and just right then a wave came and turned me upside down.
Oh no!
So, and my wife was on shore. It's like, wonder where he went. Yeah, I'm not seeing him anymore. So it took a while, but I was able to get myself back on the kayak and get back to shore without any permanent damage. So,
Good to
anyways,
hear.
that was kind of a fun event. Again, one of those bloopers, memorable thing.
Yeah.
So, John, hunting season came along, and you and I,
Yep.
you know what? Let me ask you something different that kind of got you ready for all these adventures over the summer here. You went off on quite an adventure trip this year. Can you tell us about that? Yeah.
Let's see. Early to mid-June, I left for 50 days for a outward bound 50-day Southwest leadership semester, and started in Colorado. We only had like 3 or 4 days rafting in Colorado. Then we got into Utah. Did more rafting. Then we went backpacking for about 10 days in the Uinta Mountains out there in Utah, and got back from the mountains, got back on the river, did another like 10 days of rafting and like 7 days of canoeing, and more like 5 days of rafting in Cataract Canyon on the Colorado River. And then got back on land to the La Salle mountain range to do another, I think that was about 7 days in the La Salles. And in the La Salles we had some fun doing peak attempts. So it was a good time.
So thinking back on the whole experience, what are you gonna remember from that? Years down the road.
Probably in the La Salles when the highest up we got was in the Uintas, and we got up to about 13,000 feet there. In the La Salles, I think we were around 11, and you kind of get to a certain point up in the mountains where like nothing really lives there, and you're just not supposed to be there, and it's just not comfortable. It's just boulders, rocks, wind. You're just not supposed to be there. So probably the terrible night's sleep I got. And then we went over this thing called Porcupine Pass, like a pass between two mountains. And we were like holding on to each other to keep each other from like falling off the mountain and all that. And it was a good time. So
kind of like the mud run.
Yeah.
You had the camera on your chest.
Yeah, I had it on the front, and
Emily had it on her
hers
back.
on the back. Yeah.
So the very first one, like in the first like eighth of a mile, there was to like dive under the ropes and crawl.
The army crawl.
Right. So I get like maybe not even halfway into the crawl, and I lose the camera somehow. So I get out of there, and I'm like 10 yards past the, it was practically a pond. And I was like, oh, there goes the camera. Yeah. It just kept running. So eventually I got back to the finish line, and they were like, hey, did you lose a camera? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, oh, so-and-so has it on a four-wheeler. And we eventually got it back. But,
and the footage was pretty interesting. One of the
Yeah.
volunteers tracked it down and found us and brought back the camera. So when you got back from your adventure trip, you were really like you were ready to go.
Yeah, I did a lot of paddling.
The paddle fest was like the next weekend, and then the mud run was shortly after that.
Yep.
So you were ready to go for all that kind of stuff. You and Emily been continuing to work out.
Yeah, actually.
So when you hit lacrosse season, you're gonna be rocking it, right?
That'll be good.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you about something else. So you and I have been out hunting many times, including off on pheasant hunting trips and deer hunting. So a couple of years ago, we went off to my property over in Warren County, and you were in a stand, and I did a one-person drive for you, and that was the first successful drive we had there. And you were I think you were 16 at the time, or 15 or 16 at the
16.
time? So most teenagers, when they're getting the deer, they're like holding the deer and showing And I have to tell the story that your close up that you wanted was holding the heart that showed the hole where you shot right through the heart of the deer.
Yeah.
So we have to see if we can find that picture and show that one. But
I have it here.
So the shoe was on the other foot this year. So tell what happened to you and I on our deer hunting.
Well, back sophomore year when it was a doe. Just the drag was bad. It's real thick back there. So like he continued to nudge me with little like, man, that drag was bad, blah blah blah. And so this year it was Buck Monday. I was sitting in the same stand where I shot that doe, because it's kind of my lucky stand, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And
by the way, we made that stand on Crawford County Outdoors. That was the stand we made on TV a number of years ago. Yep.
So it's been successful.
Yeah.
It's about 150 yards,
something like that,
in front of me. You were in another homemade stand, and I hear bang. A couple guys did a drive,
which we didn't know about, but they
worked out,
and they drove to us, which was
cool.
And
cool. Seeing all kinds of does, and then I hear a bang, and I was like, okay, great. And so I get to you, and deer down, and you can't even stand up where it's at. and it was pretty wet back there.
It's a swamp.
Yeah, it's a swamp.
And like kind of maybe chest high swamp grass and
yeah, I mean not quite Geneva, but it could give Geneva a run for its money in some parts, I would say. And so deer down, and we're kind of like good, and then we kind of think about it, and we took the Chevy Cruze, a small little sedan. And
it's kind of like if you take a raincoat on the day when it might rain, it prevents it from raining. So this is my story anyways. So it's like if you take the littlest car that you have at your house, that like guarantees you're gonna get a big fat deer that day, right?
So I was kind of like, oh man, we're way back here, and I'm there getting flashbacks.
It's about a half mile.
Yeah.
It's about a half mile.
And so I'm there getting flashbacks of my doe from 2 years ago of how hard that was. And then this is probably like a 50, 60 pound more, much bigger, nice, mature buck. And I was just like, oh boy. And we eventually got it out of the thick part. That wasn't too hard.
It was about maybe 60 or 70 yards to get to the trail.
Right.
But
so that was like
even dragging on the trail is no treat.
The trail ain't much of a trail.
turns into a mud hole.
Yeah.
It turns into thorns all over the place. In fact, that was a week ago. I still think I have some scratches on my hands from the thorns dripping at me.
Right. The way I describe your place is like the swampiest you can get without waders, pretty much. And it was a long drag.
I have another friend's property, and I describe it like, well, that's like Greenbrier, and then my property's like the rest of West Virginia. It's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
And there's a big swamp right smack in the middle, and there's no way around it except for kind of going through the edge of it.
So we got it to the bridge, the broken bridge from the tractor. And so
in the summer when I was trying to mow the path,
right,
I tried to go over the little bridge, and the tractor's a little bit heavier than the four-wheeler it used to have, and it broke through. So that was a bummer. But I knew the tractor worked on that path because I'd mowed that path probably 4 or 5 times over the course of the year with that tractor. But all the melting snow and everything just before the start of the season, that turned a nice area that used to be able to drive on into a mud hole.
Yeah.
So we get it to the bridge, and we're like, good, hard work's done. So I go back to the stands, gather up all our gear, and you go and get the tractor, and you got it. You didn't even really get it to the bridge because it just got too swampy.
Got the tractor out pretty close, and then you and I dragged the deer 100
so
yards and put it in the bucket.
Finally got it to the tractor, and we got it in the bucket, and how far do you think we went in the tractor? 100 yards, if that.
50 or 75 yards.
Probably. And so we're like, this is going well, and we go over a nice log, and
doink,
and
right
tractor's stuck. It was good, like what, 2 feet down in the mud. And so I'm there. So then we run back to the cabin there and get a shovel to try to undig the tractor. And you're there kind of gassing it, and I'm there digging, and I finally like expose it enough, and the whole frame is just stuck, and I'm just like, Dwayne, there's no way. So when it was like 2 days later, you came back with a come along,
and chained onto a tree, and did get the tractor out with a come along, and that worked great. But we ended up dragging that deer the whole way,
pretty much.
The same drag we made with your deer. Again, that was a lot lighter. So the two of us, we took turns pulling on it. We put the shovel on a rope, and we were both pushing.
And then we finally got it into a Chevy Cruze, which. It actually looked pretty uniform with all our. I mean, you couldn't even tell there was a deer in there.
So two tips for those hunters out there: take a drop cloth in your Chevy Cruze if you're going to pick up a deer.
Right.
So that keeps. I was thinking like we'd set it in the back seat and let it look out the window, But it was better to lay the seats down and put the drop cloth, and that worked out. That worked out better.
Good day.
So we had another interesting hunting experience this year.
Been a good year.
Colin Getter last year came and observed and went on a couple of hunts just watching. So he got his first ever hunting license, passed his hunter safety course, and got his hunting license. So pick it up from there. 28, I think. Colin is.
Right. So first time officially out deer hunting, and we went out to some of your family in Utica.
Extended family, yep.
So I mean that's a big drive hunt. How many guys were there?
Like 15
to 20 guys,
like
typically on a good day in rifle season, and that typically starts about 9. So we went earlier, and we got into a stand. They call it the Princess Palace, and
it was made for my niece, so that's how it got its name, Princess Palace.
Right.
Yeah.
So we get in the stand, and when were you going to do your drive?
8:30.
8:30. So it was like
8:35.
Yeah, and we were like, all right, any minute now. And I was kind of more on the right of the palace, and he was more to the left. And at that point, I'm getting cold and kind of tired. and because I like, never sleep whenever I hunt with you. I don't know why. But I deer running off, so I smack him pretty hard, and I'm like, we need to switch. So I get him switched up, and I thought they were gonna go to like a trail, and they didn't. So they ended up coming closer to us, and it ended up being like a 40-yard broadside shot. You know how deer like when they jumped up, they run about 100 yards and then they stop.
So I started the drive.
Yeah.
Never saw him, never heard him.
How far were you into it?
Maybe 3 minutes, 4 minutes,
Yeah.
something like that. I only had less than a quarter mile to go, but it's like there was this kind of one little way to drive to get the deer to go past the Princess Pass, and it worked.
Yeah.
And I hear boom, so I sent you a text.
So
I was like,
right where these deer stopped was like it couldn't have been in a better like broadside, 40 yards, nice doe, perfect, bang, and made a good shot, and yeah,
I sent you a text. I said, "Was that us?" And you said, "Yep."
Colin shot a deer.
He's got one down.
Yep.
Colin's got his first deer down. So I practically ran the rest of the way because I was really excited. I was really excited to see Colin's first deer, and got over there and all the processing that you go through with removing the entrails and all that. He got to do that, and you and I coached him through. You and I both
can't skip that.
Tried that a few times. So he didn't give up. He stuck through. So now the story goes on from there.
Right.
So this was about 8:30 in the morning.
So then we meet up with the guys like what 9:30.
9:30 or something like that. Yeah.
I think it was maybe the second drive of the day. So
and since I already had gotten my deer that you and I dragged.
This was after lunch.
I was a designated driver, so I was driving all the drives.
Right.
And the area there in the Venango County, like it's like
hilly.
It's like a canyon almost, and a lot of the drives are you're going sideways.
You're side hilling.
You're going sideways on the canyon.
I wore my backpacking boots.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah, I did too. And just happened to work out that the second deer that was taken on one of those drives happened to be a nice buck. And where'd it go?
Buck. Colin.
Went right to Colin.
Yeah.
So I'm driving along, and right in front of me, I hear a shot.
Bang.
So we had little walkie-talkies, and I said, "Yeah, did somebody shoot?" And his Colin's like, "I got one down."
Yeah, didn't you push it to him? You were
I did. Yep.
So I was right next to him.
So I was a double driver pushing a deer to Colin. So his first day hunting ever.
Got about a whole season's worth of work done in 3 hours.
He got a doe at 8:30, and he got a buck at noon.
Tagged out.
So that was. So then the funniest part, and I was sharing pictures with folks, and my vehicle, which we affectionately call the Mastodon. Kaylee, you're familiar with the Mastodon.
Ford what? Explorer?
It's an Expedition. And of course, it's been around for a while. It's had pretty hard life, and the rust has eaten off the steps that the running boards that you climb up in. So I replaced them with deck boards, and so that's what the comments are that I'm getting whenever people see the picture is, "What's up with the deck boards on the side of the Mastodon?"
Yeah.
So the Mastodon has deck boards there. So
and the hauler thing on the trail hitch.
So that's right. We had two deer stacked up on the hitch
got
hauler
some looks going
on the
town.
back there. Yeah. So we got some good looks driving back through town. That's what we talked about, tying the first deer, tying that onto the top of the Chevy.
Yeah.
It's like no, we fit that one inside. So we took the hitch hauler and let the deer ride on the back of the hitch hauler. Speaking of deer, by the way, Chef Lisa's working over there. I'm wanting to keep moving along so we can get some sampling in here. But I'm looking forward to that in a minute. So. Well, John, thanks for your help, by the way, with us this year, and we certainly had a lot of fun out there. I'm looking forward to some more adventures here as time goes by. You too, Kayla. You and I have had a lot of adventures this year for Crawford County. You have quite a fan club on Crawford County Outdoors on Facebook, I'm hearing. So,
great.
So,
well, more to come.
I've got some ideas for you for down the road. So, okay. So Chef Lisa's working on something over there, so I'm looking forward to checking that out. So stay with us. Chef Lisa, what do you got in mind for today?
Easy. Venison cheeseburger soup.
Ooh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's getting that time of year. It's cold.
Venison and cheeseburger, two things that sound good. I haven't really thought of them as soup before. How does that work?
Together. Well, it's just a simple recipe, and you use ground venison, so.
Okay.
Yeah, easy.
So I see we got some butter that's kind of bubbly over here. What does that mean?
We do. Well, that means it's ready for our vegetables.
Okay.
Okay. So what we have here is, this is a real quick recipe. You can brown your meat first, which I already did, so it doesn't take as long. I also started the potatoes, so they're already started. Again, it's not going to take us as long to make. So I have about a cup of carrots. We have 2 tablespoons of butter that's melted, and we have this up on high, and we are sizzling already. So we're going to get our carrots in there, And then we have about a half a cup of celery. Adding some good flavor.
Seems like celery goes in soup a lot. That happens at my house anyway.
Yeah, about a half to 3/4 of a onion chopped. That's always good in soup. And would you like to? You may do so. And we'll stir that for about 5 to 8 minutes until the onions are translucent, and then we'll add a few more things.
So can I ask you a venison question?
Sure, I hope I can answer it.
So, well, now there were 3 at your house that have arrived so far.
That is correct.
So, do you have to like hurry up and whip out all the recipes and get rolling like right away? Because at my house, there's only limited freezer space, and if more than one comes, then we have to like, what can we do to use some up quickly so we don't totally fill up? Does that happen at your house?
No, it doesn't, because we have 3 freezers.
Aha.
So that helps.
Okay.
But we also, we always have let's cut the back straps out, a couple first, and have that for dinner after a day or 2 of it sitting. So we have that right away.
Okay.
And then the rest of it, the guys take care of them. My husband, Terry, he takes care of them. So, and the boys help. So we process our own deer. And, they just do them one at a time and get them done, and then make some space in the freezer and get them in there, and then, we're set for the year.
Now, do you give instructions to the processors like my wife does? It's like, okay, we want those nice big roasts, and we want...
Sometimes. Okay. If we talk about it, though, as a family, do we want to make jerky this year? Do we want roast this year? Do we want more burger? It's kind of based on what we need to do and what our plans are. So we talk about it.
So now what about, since we got everybody got one here at the Beck House, would you have to have like somebody's tenderloin first? Or
as they come in. The first tenderloin we had from the first year.
Okay.
And then the second tenderloin, then we have another one upstairs waiting to be cooked.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we just do it as they come in, because they didn't get them on the same day.
So it wasn't like a pecking order thing, like oldest gets first dibs on that or whatever.
No.
Okay.
No. No. How are we doing in there?
They're getting to be like a little, they get to be like a little sort of like transparent, right? The onions
translucent, yes, and that's what we want. We want to be able to see through them, but we're going to let them go a little bit longer.
Okay.
Yeah, just a little bit longer, because the celery. We want to get the celery and carrots done too, and then we'll add a few more ingredients. But this, like I said, this is an easy one and healthy. All the vegetables, me, I'm into that, and the venison, which we all love around here. So.
Okay. So the venison in particular, now we've talked about this before, when you go to brown it, it doesn't have any fat.
No, I never have to drain it, no.
So you don't have to drain it, but you do have to put a little bit
Sometimes
like olive oil?
A little oil in there will help, yeah. And because we're doing this with the vegetables and there was a little butter in there, we're good. So
okay.
We don't have to worry about that this time. So. Looking good in there, Dwayne.
It's my expertise in stirring.
I know.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
I'm glad you have the right-handed spoon today.
Yes. That is difficult for me to... The left-handed stirring. I can hold with my left hand, but the stirring.
It smells good. I'd say another minute and we're ready to add some more things.
Okay.
What we're going to do is we are going to add 4 cups of chicken broth. And we're going to add a teaspoon of dried parsley. And I chopped
Did that come from your herb garden?
That one did not.
Oh.
No, sorry, not this time.
Next year.
Next year, although it's still growing out there, believe it or not.
I'm still getting comments from people about that, by the way.
Yeah,
So that was very popular.
That was a good episode.
Are you hearing about that too?
I have.
Yes,
I have as well. So we have a teaspoon of dried parsley we're going to add, and I chopped up, and I did them fine, smaller actually. I left the skins on for, they're healthier that way. About 2 to 3 medium to small potatoes, and I chopped them up small because, again, I wanted this to cook a little faster for us. And if you're in a hurry for dinner, that's the best way to go, because it won't take as long anyway. So, and we're usually hungry when we get home from work and school, so we are in a hurry for dinner. And that looks good, and I think we're about ready. So I'm going to add the chicken broth. Like I said, there's 4 cups. Got it turned up all the way. I'm going to add the potatoes, and I think I'm going to use a spoon, if you don't mind, so they don't splatter all over.
I'm impressed that you can use a right-handed spoon.
I know. I am talented in that respect. Okay. I'll give you that back, and I'm going to add the parsley. And what we're going to do at this point is we're going to let it cook. We want to bring it to a boil for about 10. We're going to cook it for about 10 minutes. Bring it to a boil, and then we'll add the rest of our ingredients.
Okay. Lisa, that's smelling like really good.
It is. It is. So we're ready to add a few more things. We brought it to a low boil. We let it cook 10 to 12 minutes. And now we're going to add the 1 pound of already cooked, and I seasoned it a little bit with salt and pepper, ground venison, a cup of milk, and then 1 to 2 cups of cheese. cheddar cheese, and then we have some salt and pepper to taste.
Okay.
And as soon as we get that in there and we get it all mixed together and the cheese is melted and everything's blended and it's all heated through, we'll be ready to serve.
Okay.
Okay. There we go.
Nice. Wow. Whatever we're doing the grinder at my house, I run it through the wider grind first, and then through the finer one. Is
Right.
that the thing to do?
Well, that's what we did here when we made
We
the
made our
bear sausage.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That seems to help a little bit.
Want to add some flavor there. And we'll add some cheese.
So you weren't kidding about the cheeseburger venison.
No, it is cheese. Actually, we're putting it all in there. Why not, right?
So it's really cheesy.
It is really cheesy.
Cheeseburger venison.
And we're going to add the milk, and it's just going to take a little time to cook, heat up, all the flavors mix. I'm going to add just a tiny more pinch of salt there. And then we'll be ready to serve that up.
Wow.
That looks good.
I'm guessing the folks at home can see this, and they're all jealous. 'Cause
They're jealous that they can't smell it.
So make it yourself at home.
That's right.
So, Chef Lisa, you certainly know how to draw a crowd. Watch this.
I sure do.
See, we got everybody's attention whenever. Look at that.
Yep.
So, one more time. This is easy.
Easy.
Venison cheeseburger soup.
Correct.
Okay.
And we shall all sample.
Yes.
It's very hot, everyone, so be careful. And I'm just gonna put in here, and you can dollop a little cheese on top, pass it around. There's a spoon for everyone.
I hear a tail
Do you want me to
wagging.
be the cheese dog?
Oh, that would be great.
I
And you
can do
can
that.
pass it around for me.
Well, Lisa, that looks awesome. This is very difficult. Waiting to sample.
I know.
By the way, Terry, good job on shooting the deer that's
Thank
in
you.
the
Right,
Yes,
he's
this is
feeding
mine.
us this evening.
easy venison
That's right.
cheeseburger soup.
Right.
It was an easy shot, too.
Perfect.
Makes it even
Perfect.
easier.
So there was no stress involved, so that makes
No.
this even going to be
It's
even
always-
more tasty.
Wasn't a half mile into a swamp.
It's always great when you
half-mile
see
drag.
when you see the deer fall. That's always great. You know, there's no
Thank you.
tracking involved.
Oh,
The only,
that's
the only
lunch.
downside of seeing it fall is if it falls and you know you got like a half-mile drag to get back to
Dwayne,
where the
you
vehicle
can
is.
have it. You can have
That's
it. Yeah, it's fine.
A couple spoons down here.
Oh. There you go.
all right.
Lorraine,
Right.
so be careful.
Not
Okay.
one.
Everyone has a spoon?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Give her a
it's
shot.
pretty warm, so be careful.
Oh, Lisa, that's awesome.
That's another good one there.
And it was easy.
Easy. Yeah. Easy and cheesy.
That's right. It's good.
Have we ever said this is horrible?
No, not yet.
Because it never has been.
I don't
Because
think
we're
it's gonna
honest here
happen.
on Crawford County Outdoors. Speaking of that, Chef Lisa,
Yes.
we have a special pre-holiday gift for you
Oh my
from Crawford
goodness.
County Outdoors.
Wow.
So can you open it on live TV? Well, not live, but can you open it on TV?
I sure will. Well,
I'm really
thank
excited
you.
about this, by
Well,
the way.
I'm excited too. Wow, I get presents and everything.
Lily thinks it's hers.
I know exactly what this is. And I'm very excited.
It's a right-handed
A right-handed pink
pink
camo.
camo can opener.
I am so excited.
Nice.
Thank you, Crawford County Outdoors. That is awesome.
See, Lisa always makes me open the cans with a left-handed can opener, and I'm like, so a right-handed can
So this is
opener.
going to help Dwayne.
Yes. So down the road, maybe we'll come up with some more stuff we can use that.
That's
you
right.
think?
I'm sure we can.
Perfect.
I'm sure we can.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, guys, thank you all for helping us on Crawford County Outdoors, for making some videos here, and for having fun. Again, Terry, congratulations on making
Yep.
some good venison for the soup here.
Excellent.
I actually made the soup too.
You okay.
I think the viewers know better.
Well, the biggest thanks is the folks at home for watching us on Crawford County Outdoors, and we'll see you next time.